Hello friends, welcome to Adobe XD Video Tutorials series. In the previous video tutorials, we understood what is Adobe XD, how to create and view XD documents, Adobe XD user interface, how to create and manage artboards, how to work with line tool and rectangle tool. In this video, we understand how do we work with ellipse tool. Ellipse tool is used to draw oval shapes, circle shapes. If I select here the ellipse tool, just click and drag to create oval shapes. You can see I am creating oval shapes. If I hold down the shift and drag, you can see we are creating the circle shape, right? So you can create ovals or circle shapes. Alt drag to duplicate these things. You can duplicate like this, right? Once you create ellipse or circle shape, of course you can change the width of the ellipse. You can change the height of the ellipse. You can change the X position of the ellipse. You can change the Y position of the ellipse. You can rotate the shape. You can see that we can rotate the ellipse. Let's reset it back to 0. Okay, let's say we have an ellipse and here I have a circle shape. I'm going to select both of them. If I say flip horizontal, you can see circle is on the left side. If I say flip horizontal, the circle is moved to the right side. Let's say if I have circle here at the bottom, I select both the shapes. If I say flip vertical, the circle is at the top. If I say flip vertical, the circle is at the bottom. So you can flip horizontally as well as flip vertically, guys. And as I told that there is another option we have, horizontal scrolling. If I select these things and enable horizontal scrolling, we can decide the scrollable area. And if I click on the play button, we can horizontally scroll, guys. You can see that we can see other circles which are outside the scrollable area. Horizontally we can scroll. If I disable, we'll get the circles back. If circles are, let's say, one below another, okay, let's say we have circles one below another. Let's remove this other side. I select these things and click on vertical scroll. I can decide the scrollable area and I can move it anywhere I want. If I click on the play button, we can vertically scroll, guys. We can vertically scroll. We cannot scroll horizontally, but we can definitely vertically scroll because we are using vertical scroll option here. Okay, I click again and I hold down the alt and drag to make the duplicate of these circles. I select these circles. I click on horizontal and vertical scroll. We can decide the scrollable area as I told. I am dragging these controls, and if I click on the play button, we can vertically scroll as well as we can horizontally scroll, guys. We can vertically scroll as well as horizontally scroll. So that is about vertical and horizontal scroll, guys. So many circles we have. Let's put them here one below another, and here I have the ellipse shape. Let's delete this ellipse. Let's say if you want to fix this ellipse in this position, okay, if I click on the play button, now all the shapes are scrolling. You can see that. If I want, I can fix this in this position by clicking on fix position when scrolling. If I click on the play button now, this is going to be fixed in this position, this ellipse. The other circles are going to scroll. You can see that, whereas the ellipse is fixed in that position, guys. So that is about fixed position when scrolling. If you want, you can control the opacity of the ellipse. You can see here we have the opacity. We can decide the color of, that is the fill color of the ellipse. We can increase the border size. We can change the border color if we want. You can see that. We can increase the dash size. You can see we are getting the dash, and we can decide the distance between the dashes, that is the gap. Okay, that is the gap option, guys. Increase or decrease, right? Let's set this back to 0. Set the gap also to 0. So we'll get a solid border. You can see that, right? Next, we can decide whether this border to be displayed in the inside or outside or center. Inside, outside or center, like this, right? And you can see when we create dashes, okay, when we create dashes, if you observe, we are having the square boxes, right? If we change the border type from butt cap to round cap, you see we are getting these capsule like shapes. You can see that the capsule like shapes are coming up. So if I select the projecting cap, we get these square boxes. You can observe that one, right? Let me set the dash back to 0 and gap also to 0, guys. Next we have inner shadow and drop shadow. If I select inner shadow, we can have the shadow inside the ellipse. So I'm increasing the shadow strength, and then I can decide the X shift, Y shifting, and the blur amount. You can see that. So that is the inner shadow. We can have outer shadow also. Let's say 100% opacity. We can say X offset of the outer shadow, Y offset of the outer shadow. We can decide whether the shadow should be hard or soft here, guys. So that is about inner shadow and outer shadow. Next we have background blur. Let's say we put this circle on top of this, and I am going to increase the size of this circle, let's say, and then I'm going to fill some color. I'm going to put some color here. Let's use blue color. Okay, light blue color I'll use. Okay, now if I select this and say background blur, what happens is anything is behind this circle is going to be blurred out, right? We can decide the blur amount. You can see, we can decide the blur amount here. We can decide the brightness of this circle that we selected here. You can see that, dark or bright. We can decide opacity also. Instead of using the background blur, we can also use object blur. Object blur blurs the selected object, guys. You can see the selected object is blurred out. We can decide the blur amount here. You can see that, right? So that is about object blur or the background blur. The difference, I hope you guys have clearly understood what is the difference between background blur and object blur. Next we have let's say I don't want background blur also. I am unticking that, and I come back here. We can use the blend modes here. We have multiply blend mode, we have screen blend mode. So we can create some special effects using these options, guys. We have different blend modes, you can see that. Okay, I'm going to set it back to normal. And the last option that we need to discuss is responsive resize. Okay, let's delete these things from here and take this ellipse, and responsive resize is enabled, which is used while designing responsive user interface, guys. So at present, if I select the artboard and reduce its width, you can see that the ellipse is moving to the left side. Can you see that the ellipse is moving to the left side and width is fixed here? If I select the ellipse and go to manual, I don't want fixed width. I want it should be responsive width, and it should be fixed on the left hand side. Okay, it should maintain this distance, guys. Now if I go back to home page, artboard, and if I reduce the width of the artboard, automatically the ellipse width is changing. The position change is not happening here, right? There is no change in the position, but the width change, you can observe that. So that is about responsive resize, guys. If you want the ellipse width should be fixed width if you want, then you can see that there will be no change in the width if I increase or decrease the width of the artboard, right? So that is about how we use the responsive resize while creating the responsive user interface. This option is very, very important, guys. So that is all about the properties of the ellipse tool. I hope you guys have clearly understood. I suggest you people to try this, experiment it. In the upcoming video tutorials, we discuss more about Adobe XD. If you like this video, hit the like button and share with your friends so that everyone will get benefited. For more benefits and be up to date, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keep learning, keep designing, keep sharing. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. See you in the next tutorial.